UFP, the United Federation of Podcasts.
Infinite diversity.
Live long and prosper, and welcome to Infinite Diversity, a Star Trek Universe podcast here on the United Federation of Podcast Network. I'm your host for today, Chrissy, and joining me are my co-hosts Justin and Brandon. Justin, how are you today?
Well, I'm feeling a little bit down. I've been in prison for the last 6 months. They're moving me somewhere else all of a sudden. I don't know. Oh, hold on. Something's happening. I think my life's about to change. Okay, more on that later, but I'm doing well. Just channeling a little of what we're talking about. Yeah, doing pretty good. I think we just had an episode last week where we talked about our favorite Picard Season 1 characters, and I think it'll be fun to go in the same vein on a different show. So, looking forward to that.
Agreed. Brandon, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really good here, just sitting here snacking on my space Gormagander.
Is he smoking a Gormagander?
Smoking my Gormagander. So.
Well, you could be doing that. It's a meat.
Yeah, sure, there you go. Yeah.
That's true. You can smoke it in that way, yes.
Which, you know what, since that made me think of something here, because I saw it on Twitter today. You know when you try and use like the F word in their like thing and it autocorrects to ducking? And everybody just automatically assumes it's the animal of a duck. But no, ducking is actually a word. If somebody throws something at you, what are you going to do?
Yeah, you're going to duck.
You're going to duck. Yeah. So you are ducking. So
ducking
yes,
under it.
You no longer have to think of quacking ducks when your thing autocorrects to ducking, which
you guys,
quite often happens to me.
This is so ducking cool.
So ducking cool.
The sheer ducking hubris of it. Yes. Calling back to last week. Yeah. All right.
I'm looking forward to today's discussion. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm looking forward to it, and I think I'm going to surprise y'all.
There's one thing you've already told me you're not going to do, so if you go against that, that will surprise me, yes.
Yes, so I definitely told you
me too.
I am not doing that. And I am true to my word.
Okay, yes. But you will surprise us with something.
I will, yes.
And I know one for sure that's going to be on your list, so we shall see.
Do you?
Interesting. I think I do as
so.
well.
Harry Mudd doesn't count. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I mean, he can.
Well, I guess he could count, yes. Yeah. He's not on my list either.
Right, so this week we are continuing our look back at the new Trek before we get our new seasons, hopefully the end of this year for this one. And we're looking at Season 1 of Discovery. So just Season 1. Right? So it's not going to play into what happened to people later on. Right?
Yep.
Right? Okay.
And presumably we might have different picks for Season 2 and 3.
I absolutely would have different picks for Season 2 and 3.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Okay, that'll make it interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, so favorite characters, we did not specify any particular order or anything like that, so why don't we start with you, Justin?
With me?
What's your first pick? Yeah.
Okay, I might as well start out with the one that I know Brandon isn't picking, but is probably my top pick. So I'll start with my top pick, why not? It's Michael Burnham.
She's on my list!
So, she is not on your list.
She's not on my list.
She is not on your list. Listeners, Brandon is not a huge fan of Burnham. It's okay. I am a big fan. So let me talk about why and why that starts in Season 1. So since Season 3 of Discovery aired, I have had a chance to rewatch the show starting from the beginning. So I've rewatched Season 1 most of the way through Season 2. So for Season 1, I know Burnham is the focus of the show, but what I really like about the character is you see someone at the beginning of the season who is in Starfleet and seems to be in a fairly good place as a science officer on the Shenzhou. But you also, I think even in the first 2 episodes, you see some flashbacks to, I think, her coming onto the Shenzhou as somebody who is educated on Vulcan. And, the war happens and all that stuff, and she goes to jail, justified or not, probably not, but but still, she goes to jail. She's there for 6 months. And then Lorca has this interest in her for all the stuff that he has going on, right? So he plucks her out of that, and she's becomes part of the crew. But then kind of by the end of the season, I think through everything that happens with, the war and finding the tardigrade and going to the mirror universe and all of that kind of stuff, it kind of comes a bit full circle because she does get her commission back at the end of the season. But what I really like about the character, even just in season 1, is kind of all of the changes and all of the things that she goes through. And I think she is someone that is able to adapt to that and be like a really strong character. And I actually find a lot of inspiration. I mean, and even like in season 1, if you think of Magic to Make the Sanest Man Go Mad, where Burnham is like, I really don't do parties. That's me. I really don't do parties. Yes. I don't like being around a lot of people. But I am very passionate and interested in the things that I am, and I feel that Burnham is the same, but she can have circumstances that kind of will set things in a different direction, or, when she's been in prison for a while, it seems like she's just kind of like given up and it's just like, whatever, I'll just see what happens. But she has the strength to kind of push through that. Anyway, that's a long way of saying I love this character for all the changes that she goes through, how Sonequa Martin Green plays the character, and kind of all that potential I feel I see even just in the first season. So let's ask Chrissy what she thinks first about Burnham in season 1.
I like Burnham. I mean, as you say, she is the central focus character, so it's kind of like, well, you're going to like her because that's how she's being presented. But
I don't know. I've seen some people that really don't like the character, but
yes, we'll come back to that.
I'm not saying that's you, Brandon, but I have seen other people that are just really just not into the character. But yeah,
and I'm not entirely sure that that's about the character. Just on a slight tangent here, because there are so many of the let's, to be polite, call them gatekeepers, that did not like Michael Burnham because she was Michael Burnham and she wasn't, say, I don't know, Lorca or Saru even. So I take that.
I mean, are you talking about the racist people that didn't like the color of her skin, or are we talking about other kinds of people?
Oh well, the racists, and I guess I don't know why I didn't call it out directly. The racists and the sexists, for that matter. Sure. And then there's the anti-New Trek people, and sometimes I don't know if they're really anti-New Trek or if it's just racism and sexism. But
that's a whole other topic.
So I mean, and I'm not saying that everybody who doesn't like Burnham
of course,
is in that. So listeners, that's not what I'm saying at all. But what I'm saying is, when I see the hate toward her, particularly online, because that's what the internet is these days, and, I have to step back and look at what else that person is saying, and see, are they discussing her from a character standpoint, or are they complaining because she doesn't represent them and they want to be represented, even though they've been represented. So. But I love Michael. Get back to the positives here. I love her arc. I love how she spent so many years trying to live a Vulcan way of life and control her emotions, and then Sarah brings her somewhere and says, you're not Vulcan, not in so many words, but you don't have to function this way. And so here's somebody I know who is going to bring out the human in you. And I just love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, as somebody who does not like Burnham, and who Burnham is actually my least favorite character on the show, I am going to focus on the positive, because there are lots of things that I do like about Burnham. Right? And I actually think that my favorite arc for Burnham is the season 1 arc. I like seeing her in it, and I like seeing where we start with her. Like, she's kind of a broken person when we find her in episode 3. And I wish that was, I've said it a million times, I wish that was episode 1.
I know you've said it, and I disagree with it a lot, because I really like episodes 1 and 2. But
I wish we could have seen that character and gone on that arc and found everything as the season went along. But I also really like her interactions with Tilly, you know, and how at first she's kind of like, leave me alone, and then they grow to become friends. You know, so season 1, Burnham is definitely my favorite arc for her, and I do like a lot of stuff that's in there. So I will stay on the positive.
Okay. I'm learning a lot, because when we go to Lower Decks, I need to stay on the positive.
So, good. So next week we're going to do favorite Lower Decks characters? Awesome.
That's 2 weeks from now, but it's coming.
Well, it'll be the week after this episode. Oh, no. We have that other episode.
Oh, no, we've got...
we have that other episode with that other thing and the stuff with the thing. Yeah, that thing.
Oh, don't dance around it. It's an interview with Una McCormack about her new Discovery novel, Wonderlands. It's exciting. But anyway, 2 weeks from now. But no, I think that's great. I think maybe in season 1 is when she has the most changes that happen.
Yeah, because she almost has 2 arcs. The moving from being more Vulcan to being more human, and everything with the war as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, Brandon.
Okay, so
who's first on your list?
Actually, I'm going to go with number 2. So I do have. Okay. I was going to go 3, 2, 1, but I want to surprise you guys, and I'm thinking that this person is going to be on somebody else's list. So I don't want to do it to steal somebody else's thunder. I want to do it because I want to surprise you, and I know that this is going to surprise you. My second choice for favorite character in season 1 is Tilly.
Okay, why should that surprise me?
That doesn't surprise me.
You said before you said before you really liked season 1 Tilly, and you had problems with season 2 Tilly.
Are we? We're surprised by it not being your first choice, maybe.
Yeah, okay, fine. Oh, anyways.
Yeah,
okay.
I can see that.
I guess.
Talk about Tilly.
So I love Tilly in season 1. I really, truly do. She's a very strong character, and the first majority of the season, you know, watching her grow and watching her be like, look, I know that I'm not the person that most people would think of to be a captain, but I'm definitely going to be a captain someday. And, you know, that leads to seeing that she's captain in the Mirror Universe, and it leads to seeing her with some strong moments, you know, like in I think it's episode 3. I don't know my names of my Discovery episodes as much, where they come across the Klingon in the ship, and she's like, you in the dark, come out, you know, and...
Context is for kings.
But also seeing her be able to play Mirror Tilly, play Killy, you know, and the ability that she can just turn that on, you know, which is a good trait for a captain to have. But one of the things that I love about the character is that she is such a positive character. And I mean, like, this is the reason why I love Neelix so much. I like seeing positive people. You know, there's times when I wish I was more positive as a person myself, and that's a trait that I do envy out of these characters. And one of my favorite scenes with Tilly is in Magic to Make the Sanest Man Go Mad. When they're having the party, and she goes up to Burnham, right? And she's reaching out to Burnham. She's being friendly with Burnham. She doesn't care about the history of Burnham. Burnham's going to be her friend, and she's going to make Burnham her friend. And she has that conversation about how she's like, I'm in a drummer phase, or whatever it is. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Yeah.
Right? She's like, I'm in a musician phase. And then
kind of over my soldier phase.
And the way she just starts talking about it and like telling this story is just like, that section is just so believable for that character. You know, and I actually love that scene, and that's my favorite scene with her in the season, is when she's drunk and talking to Tilly about men. And I know that doesn't pass the Bechdel test or whatever, but it's a very true moment for that character.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, and it's okay that it doesn't pass the Bechdel test, because later on we have
tons and tons
Admiral
of scenes that do.
I mean, it doesn't. It doesn't. I think nearly all of the Discovery episodes, anyway. Somewhere.
Yeah. And besides, that's not the only way to measure things.
Yeah. But I love that you picked Tilly. I may have talked about this before. At first I didn't quite know what to make of Tilly when we first see her in episode 3, but then I came to really like the character kind of more and more through the season. And actually, for me, I know you're not a fan of Tilly in season 2, but that's kind of where I felt like I connected more, and even more so in season 3. So maybe I'll pick her for a future season. But like looking back and now like rewatching from the beginning, I can see that from the beginning. She's a positive person. She is really passionate about, you know, what she's doing, whatever that is in the moment, right? She gets very excited about things, and I really like that a lot. I love her as a character. She was on my honorable mentions list, because actually going back and watching, I'm like, yeah, I do really love this character, like from the beginning now, after kind of rewatching all of it. Yeah. What do you think, Chrissy?
Oh yeah, Tilly was on my list too.
Aha.
So yeah, that goes number 3 for me. I connect with her because I relate to her with the idea of holding so many expectations for oneself that you feel like you're kind of going crazy, you know, and
having other people put expectations on you, right?
Yes, and let me say, my mother is not like her mother. My father's not like her mother. So it's not. I don't feel that, like, you know, oh, you got to be what, you know, these things, and nothing you do is right. But I think we all put expectations on ourselves. Yeah. And I think her saying, it's wonderful that she's saying, you know, I'm going to be a captain, it's going to happen. And she's taking positive steps toward doing that. Mm-hmm. But I can also see where she could be discouraged if something happens to get in the way of that. And I know where that feeling is. So I feel like Tilly's who I would be if I were there. Just kind of awkward and uncomfortable, but at the same time expecting myself to be able to do everything and anything asked of me.
Nice. Because, you know, in the 23rd century, they do need history officers, right?
They do. Well, there's one in the 24th century. Mm-hmm. There's apparently a 20th century specialist on the flagship whose only use is to go to the holodeck and
that's right. That's right. That's right. I think of it more, but there's some of that in TOS as well, where they have like a historian.
Marla McGibbers.
What's her face that goes, Yeah. So.
Anyway, that's cool. I mean, I think it's really great when you can relate to a character and relate to Tilly. I mean, somehow, even though I know like we're quite different, Burnham is the character I relate to like the most in Discovery. I don't know why, but I just do. Yeah.
Right. Anything else about Tilly?
Tilly's great. More Tilly.
Yay, Tilly.
I mean, of course we're going to get more Tilly, but
yeah. So the first character on my list is I mentioned her earlier, Admiral Cornwell.
Oh, nice.
You know, she is so strong, okay, and she's so intelligent, and she knows what the right things are to say in circumstances, and she has power, but she wields it in such a way that it's not. I'm trying to think of how to put this. You know, she can walk in and give orders, and they are done because that's what they're followed. That's what you're supposed to do. But she can also walk into a room and hear what everybody else has to say, and then work from that. And I love that.
Yeah. Oh no, that's a great pick. I actually somehow hadn't thought of Cornwell for season 1, but I love the character as well for all the reasons that you gave, and I think she can be kind of open to changing her mind. I think about toward the end of season 1 of Discovery, when I think Burnham's gotten everyone together and they're not going to follow, you know, these orders that will destroy Kronos. And she's really like trying to argue her point, but then she's like, okay, what is it that you're proposing here? Like, she's open to like, okay, let's see what alternative there is. She's not just gonna be like, I said that and that's it and just do it. Yep. You know, like she does have that reasonableness. Yeah, I love Cornwell as well. Yeah.
It's an interesting choice for season 1 because as you were sitting here talking, I'm trying to think, okay, yeah, that's an interesting choice. What would I choose for moments? And everything that comes to mind are season 2 moments for her.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, some of my first ones were season 2 moments for her, yeah.
When she explains to Pike about why they were kept out of the war, and
when she
very
talks
honorable death
to Culber and counsels him with what he's going through is great, you know. But that's in season 2.
Yeah. One of the moments that I thought of was her interactions with Lorca, and how even though she is a trained psychologist and she's known this man for a long time and knows him intimately, she still doesn't pick up on it, but she's not. When she talks about it, she's not beating herself up over it. You know, she's like, I didn't see it either, and I should have. And that was that. And so she kind of just accepts it, and yep, that happened, and go from there. But I also like how she stands up for herself with him once she realizes, she doesn't realize that he's not who he is, but that he's not the man she thought he was.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
And so I love that.
And she gets her revenge on his bowl of fortune cookies.
Yes.
Yeah. But no, that's interesting, because when I was thinking of season 1, Cornwall didn't even come into mind. Because I think you're right, Brandon. I think more of season 2 stuff, but I think she's great in season 1 as well. Yeah.
All right. So we started with Justin for the first round. Brandon, what's your next pick?
Okay, so this is actually my number 3 favorite character of the season, so I'll go with this one here. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go with Takuvma.
Really?
Yeah, I loved Takuvma, and I was so disappointed that they killed him off at the end of episode 2. I'm surprised that my number 3 choice surprises you more than my number 2 choice.
It only does. Okay, so I think part of that is that when we've talked about Tilly, you've said a few times, I really like season 1 Tilly, but not season 2. So I was like, season 1 Tilly makes sense.
Yeah.
But Takuvma, I think because you and I haven't talked a lot about Discovery season 1 in detail, or those first couple episodes. Mm-hmm. I guess I didn't even really think about what you thought about it 4 years ago or something. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I love Takuvma. I think it's an interesting way. It's an interesting thing that they did with the Klingons, and I know that a lot of people have a lot of problems with them, and I don't really have a problem. The Klingons are not one of the things in season 1 of Discovery that I have a problem with, and I think it's because they're aliens and whatnot, and the Klingons are always changing anyways. It doesn't make sense, but I don't care. Right, that they look different, and I think Chris Obi was really perfect for him. I loved that they changed and they decided to go with subtitled. I wish they would have chosen a different font so it was easier to read.
Oh, fonts!
Agreed.
It's hard to read. It was really hard to read the words.
I'm sorry. I don't know. Somehow I don't really notice or care about fonts much. I was just excited to see the subtitles. But okay.
So you guys can see my movie collection behind me and beside me here. Yeah. Out of what you can visually see, I would say more than 50% of these movies are subtitled. I watch a lot of subtitled movies, Japanese, German, French, all over the place, and I had trouble following the subtitles on this show.
Interesting.
Okay. So I mean, it was the font because everything was capitals and everything like that. I'm just not used to that. But I watch a ton of subtitled movies, and I had trouble with it. So, the way that he spoke the words, and even the way that he spoke the English, I know that this is not canon, but the comic that we got on his character, the little bit of history that we got there, I long for more of this character. And I just wish we could have gotten him in the Mirror Universe. I think that was a giant missed opportunity that when we went down to that planet and we had we had Voke there, I think we should have also had Takuvma there. So that was a big
that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
But Takuvma is my number 3 choice for favorite characters in season 1.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, I was definitely surprised because that's also a character I hadn't thought of on my list, but I did really enjoy the character, and I did enjoy what they were going for in season 1 of Discovery with the Klingons. I know they look different, but for me, I'm just okay, then a species, a lot of them look different, whatever. But what's really important is what they're saying and how they're acting and how they're interacting and the actions they're taking. And I thought his perspective was very interesting, where he had this fear of the Klingon Empire being kind of subverted by outside forces, and how he interpreted that, and it was just very interesting to see that. Yeah, and I think Chris Obi did a really great job. But I do remember when I first watched it, I was surprised they killed him off. I thought he would be some antagonist for the whole season, right? Which would have been cool, but that's okay. That happens. But wow, well, that's a cool pick, Brandon. You definitely surprised me.
Well, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, I didn't even think of including him. I guess because it's such a short part, but really, what he does is the impetus for everything.
Mm-hmm.
It is. So, he kind of sets forward the action, right, for everything else. Yeah.
All right, Justin, what's your next pick?
Well, for my next pick, it's interesting you picked somebody who is basically just in the first 2 episodes. Okay, my choice is in a bit more than that, but I'll start with something that I really loved about those first 2 episodes of Discovery, and that is Captain Georgiou. So the Prime Georgiou is one of my picks. I know we didn't see a whole lot of her, and we see a little bit in The Brightest Star, the short trek, when she's a lieutenant, whatever, But if I'm to focus on these 2 episodes with Captain Georgiou, I remember when I first watched the show and just seeing like who she was and her style of command. It kind of felt like somebody who was a Picard type, but a little bit more relaxed than Picard was in early seasons. I just found her just fascinating, like the way that she thought about things, the way that she interacted with people. I also really liked, kind of the what you have or you see in the Shenzhou, especially in the first episode, where you have Georgiou as the captain, Burnham as the first officer / science officer, and then Saru kind of as another science officer. I really kind of in that short time grew to love like their interaction. I wanted to find out more about the ship and Georgiou kind of leading that. So I was actually, quite shocked and disappointed when the Prime Georgiou was killed off in the second episode, because for me, I knew the show was called Discovery, right? So Discovery was going to be in there, but I loved the Prime Georgiou and the Shenzhou so much. I would have loved to see a whole show about that, about their adventures and what they were like. And yeah, we got some of that in some of the novels, but I feel like that's kind of a missed opportunity or a decision I wish they had done differently in some way. But yeah, from just that short time that we see the Prime Georgiou as captain, she actually became one of my favorite captains. I just loved, I don't know what it is, how she did things just from that short appearance. So what do you guys think?
Yeah.
I was very surprised that they killed her off in that episode as well.
I was shocked. I was like, oh my God, no.
Yeah.
Because first of all, also, like, you had something in those first 2 episodes, especially the first episode, you hadn't, I think, really seen in a Star Trek show on the main ship before, which is a female captain with a female first officer. I thought that was like really interesting just to see that dynamic. And it's like, oh no, they killed her off, and now we have this guy Lorca. Oh, okay, fine. Lorca's a great character, but yeah, that is something I was really surprised that they did. And of course, we've gotten plenty of Georgiou after this, but it's Mirror Georgiou, which I love, but in a different way. I love for different reasons, right? It's the Prime Georgiou that is really even more of a favorite character for me. So there we go.
Yeah, she was on my list on the extras.
Oh, wow.
Mentions part.
That's cool. So why is that? Like, what was got her on your list?
Yeah, it's... what can I say? I gravitate towards strong female characters.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she... To say she was the Picard type captain, but more relaxed, I think that's a very good way to describe her. Where she's got all of the thoughtfulness, but she also has no problem, like, sitting down with one of her officers and having lunch in the mess hall.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Yeah. And she's so confident.
Mm-hmm.
At the very beginning of it, she's like walking around. Michael thinks she's walking around in circles. And
oh, right, yeah.
She's just, nope, I'm going to set a star.
I had a plan all the time, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I do love that. And yeah, just from that glimpse, it made me really want to see so much more, which we are not going to see on screen. Mm-hmm. But, oh well.
Yeah, even in the book. Right. The book we got was Mirror Georgiou, but I guess we did get a bit of the regular Georgiou in the first book.
We did. You got some of that. Well, I think it was the third one, the Saru book, Fear Itself. Was that when Saru was on the Shenzhou somewhat earlier?
Oh, yeah, I guess there's that too. But then there's the one where she was working with Lorca, the
drastic measures. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. You get that. So you get like bits in the books, but yeah.
Well, never know. We might have some flashbacks somewhere along the line.
Could be. Or in Picard Season 2, they're time traveling to see Captain Georgiou on the Shenzhou because it's important to save the universe.
I love it.
Yeah, except we've destroyed that set. But anyway.
Well, Q could get them there very easily, so...
That's true. Anyway, I can dream of a crossover.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all right. All right, well, the second person on my list was Lorca.
Nice.
I guess he's kind of the character you love to hate, right? Mm-hmm. In a way.
Yes.
But you don't know that until we're almost to the end of it. Until you find out that he's Mirror, he just seems incredibly self-absorbed and arrogant. And then you go, oh, he is. But that's because he's from the Mirror universe.
He is. It's interesting you say that. I mean, because, yeah, I think I remember it felt like about half of the people thought, yeah, he's from the Mirror universe. The other half were like, no, that's not the case. So, but like when I was thinking about it at the time, I just thought he's just really driven by this purpose, right? And he's, maybe a little shady about certain things, but we've seen that in certain captains and admirals before. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I almost put him on my list too. I think Jason Isaacs does an amazing job, and
yes,
and the character is really complicated and interesting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I did not think he was Mirror. I thought he was going to be Section 31.
Yeah, I think that's what most people thought. More people thought Section 31 for sure. So.
Interesting. Yeah, but there was like something going on. But like when I was rewatching recently, I was just remembering like, wow, this is really strong the way that he plays it, and it's such an interesting element. And if we can ever get Prime Lorca in anything, I really hope we do, because
Drastic Measures.
Yeah,
I know we get it in Drastic Measures. And Drastic Measures was really interesting because basically, like, there were a lot of qualities that you see in the Mirror Lorca, but they're used for better purposes, right? But he is still in that book very much like the same kind of driven, purposeful kind of person, and maybe willing to bend things into gray areas a little bit, but not nearly as far as the Mirror Lorca. So he was like a little bit of a shift, like in a different direction, but still had similarities. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah.
Well, the end of that book does give us that slight hope of possibly seeing him again.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they're playing a really long game, but I would have thought we would have seen him by now.
No, it's not canon, except regular Lorca had to go somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, now I think the only possibility of seeing him is in Strange New Worlds, right?
Right.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. If Strange New Worlds ever does handle any Mirror Universe,
that would be really cool, though. If he showed up on Strange New Worlds, just as the Prime Lorca, that would be cool.
Yeah. I like how when you look back on Lorca after watching the season, you kind of look at him with a different take, right? Mm-hmm. Now that you know something different about him. I mean, I don't know why nobody predicted that he was from the Mirror Universe. I mean, all these previous episodes of the Mirror Universe, when they talked about how the sensitive eye thing happens in the Mirror Universe, how could nobody have seen that coming?
I knew that's what you were going to say. Yeah, that...
There was like 15 previous episodes where they talked about that, right? That wasn't just something they completely invented for this show.
I have to say,
yes,
I don't think there is any of the DS9 Mirror arc where they are in brightly lit rooms.
There's quite a bit. It's like that whole cave sequence when Cisco goes over there. Like, it's not very dark down in the caves there when he sleeps with Dax.
Well, okay.
Yeah, so
by the 24th century, they all take injections and they've cured it.
There you go.
Explain Mirror then.
Yeah, that one is really bright. Oh well.
By 10 years later, when Mirror takes place, they're all taking injections and it's fine.
He took it back to the...
Anywho, that's... yes. I think he did a good job. He's an interesting captain. That's for sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're on to round 3 here, and I had Tilly for my round 3, so we covered her. Justin, who's your third?
I have one that I have a feeling might be Brandon's number 1, but we'll see. So I think when I first found out about the casting for this show, I thought this is a character that would be my favorite character, because I think my favorite character in every Star Trek show has tended to be someone non-human. He's a favorite character, but not quite as much as Burnham.
Yes.
But I'm talking about Saru. Doug Jones, we've said it before, he is such an incredible, amazing actor, and what he does through these prosthetics and creating all this stuff for the Kelpians, and he's there from the first episode, right? Mm-hmm. And he's this through line throughout, the entire season for season 1. And yeah, I love Saru and all of his background and what you find out about his species, and he's kind of this interesting mix of someone who tends to, I think in season 1, tends to be gentle for the most part, but when he's in command and he's dealing with all the stuff and has all the pressures when, Lorca's been taken away and he has to deal with the tardigrade, he becomes very hard. He becomes very tough. So he has like this whole range of things he can get into, and I found him to be one of the most fascinating characters in season 1. Mm-hmm. Was this on your list, Brandon? Did I steal it?
No, actually, my new number 1 favorite character in season 1 Discovery is Ripper. No, yeah, Doug Jones. Saru is definitely my favorite character, and that was my number 1 choice as well.
Nice.
And it's funny because I got a pretty heated discussion with Bill from the Trek Geeks podcast when we were in Albany, New York, for the con that was there in 2018, and I'm like, the threat ganglia does not work for me in any way, shape, or form. I think I think it's complete and total nonsense. Despite that,
I know you feel that way.
He is still my favorite character on the show because Doug Jones is just such an amazing actor. And, when we get Saru in a command, situation, like he can be calm and whatnot. Like, my favorite scene with him is when he's on the holoband communication with Burnham, when Burnham's on the mirror ship, right? Yep. And that whole sequence of them talking to each other, just Doug Jones's performance is just outstanding, and we get so much more of that Saru after the threat ganglia disappear.
Yeah,
I can see that. Yeah.
So I don't know. I love him as a character. I think he's wonderful.
So you mentioned that communication, and I think that's the one where Burnham denies seeing any Kelpians on the ship.
Right.
Has she told him yet that she ate ganglia?
I don't know. Oh. I'm sure one night over drinks they had that discussion.
I would think so. And he's like, you did what you had to do. No, I don't know if he'd be outraged. I think about that sometimes, though. Like, she didn't tell him on screen.
What if she's like, and it was good, too?
Oh.
That would be terrible.
That's just mean.
It was like, I crave it. No, that's the mirror Burnham that craves it. I'm mixing that up. But
that's, yeah. I don't know. I think he would understand just from a standpoint of... He seems to be very existential about who his people are and what role they played.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, he'd be offended on a level of, cannibalistic type things, but contextually speaking, he understands context.
Mm-hmm.
I guess,
like
but yes, it is. Anyway, but yeah, Saru, great character. I mean, yeah, even in season 1, just great, makes a really great impression. And Saru goes through a lot of stuff too, right? Like, he's on the Shenzhou and he's doing all this stuff, and then the war happens and he gets onto Lorca's ship, which isn't really what he wants to do, but he's the first officer there, and then he has to be in a position of leadership, and then Lorca's gone, he's bad, so he really has to take over, and then it's like, oh, what do we do from here? So Saru goes through a lot too. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. All right, anything else we want to say about Saru?
More Saru, and yes, we're getting more Saru in season 4.
Yay.
Saru's probably going to be on my list if we do season 2 and season 3 as well. He's probably going to be on my list, so
that's fair.
Warning.
Okay.
We'll evaluate it season, but then you can give all your examples for those seasons.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so more Saru. Do you want to do any honorable mentions?
Oh, I'm good. I'm sure.
Have a few.
Yeah.
I always have honorable mentions.
I have a few too.
So yeah, somebody that is definitely on my honorable mention list and that I loved and that made a big impression for me on season 1 is Mary Chieffo as Laurel. And I feel like that character has an interesting arc too, because in the first episode, she's basically like a background Klingon on Takuvma's ship, right? And then, like, as you go forward, further into the season, she becomes more of a focus, and then Voke's there as well, and by the end of the season, she's the Chancellor of the Klingon Empire, right? What an arc. But I think Mary Chieffo is great, and she gives, like, a really kind of compelling performance. And I have to say, one of the things I love about season 1 of Discovery is hearing people speak so much Klingon, and just knowing all of, like, the training and coaching and practice that they did for, days and weeks on end. And I just love hearing Mary Chieffo speak Klingon as L'Rell. And I find it's an interesting, complex character, and, like, I felt different things about her as the season went on. I'm like, okay, this is somebody who's just trying to do this, and then it's like, is she actually, like, an abuser or what? And then it's like, okay, she really isn't, but there was this other thing she was doing as this spy mission, and, like, so I find there's, like, a lot of complexity to her character, and I love the way Mary Chieffo plays the character. And just in season 1, again, that arc from basically somebody who is, hardly anybody on this ship of this kind of rebel Takuvma at the beginning, and then leads the whole empire, I think is fantastic, and it's just such a great character. So,
yeah, I can't disagree with any of that. I do think it's interesting taking. I saw some people talking about this when it was on, taking the idea of what she did as Chancellor as the reason why we see Gowron say women can't serve on the council anymore.
See, I thought that
he
was
doesn't
because,
say anymore. I'm saying anymore. But
yeah, I thought that was because of
retconning it.
Azipur, actually.
Yes, Azipur was the one, and until we had L'Rell.
Well, Azipur's after.
Well, L'Rell came first.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but in terms of people talking about it, L'Rell came second. So.
Okay, in terms of people in our universe talking about it.
Yes, in real life, people were trying to retcon. Okay.
Trying to get it straight in my mind.
Trying to retcon Gowron's statement about women not being able to serve on the council. Yes, Azipur was the example, but it's
at least
that,
in the novels, they give that as the reason that the next Chancellor didn't like Azipur and wanted to ban that. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, but then it makes more sense to me if somebody wanted to retcon it to L'Rell because of what she does.
And there's some open territory for the character, right? Like, we see L'Rell in season 1, we see her in season 2. Of course, Discovery goes to the future in season 3, so we can't see her, but there's Strange New Worlds, right? And we don't know how long that she's Chancellor, what happens. I think it would be great if we saw her on Strange New Worlds and find out what happens, or maybe find out, maybe it isn't that long of a reign, right? And the next one comes in or something. I don't know.
Ooh. We could see a young Gorkin. On Strange New Worlds.
We could.
Possibly. Yeah,
he showed up in Vanguard, right? So, in the Vanguard novels.
He did.
He did, yeah. He did show up in Vanguard, which takes place,
concurrent
10-ish years after...
Yeah.
Of TOS, yeah. No, that's
Come
possible.
to think of it, we could see a young Colonel Worf, too, if they really wanted to have some fun.
Yep.
Anyway.
We could. There's how you get Michael Dorn in there. Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, but Colonel Worf is in the Lost Era books, and that's cool.
I mean, we could get a young Riker as well. I mean, because we got to have him in all the shows, right? He'd just be really young.
Well,
he could play a young version of his father.
I was going to say
he could play his age version of his grandfather.
I was going to say an old version of his grandfather. He needs to be in Discovery as an actor. Anyway, go ahead.
L'Rell's an interesting choice. Like, she's a good character, and I like her. My favorite scene in the season with L'Rell is when her and Voke are, like, trying to defuse that thing and, like, take it apart in episode
and
3.
They're flirting.
Yeah, I love that scene. I love the lighting of that scene, like the green and the blue and whatnot.
That's a great scene.
And to me, that scene there is the only reason why it wouldn't work to have the first 2 episodes scattered throughout the season, because that's in episode 3.
Yeah.
Right? So you get more with Voke and L'Rell in the first 2 episodes. So
yeah, I love that scene as well. That one is really striking. Yeah, the lighting and the way it, highlights their eyes and like how they're looking at each other as they do this procedure.
Yeah.
But I think probably my favorite scene with Laurel in season 1 is when she's with Cornwell and they scream together. I just love seeing that because it's just such a cool scene. But
that's the one I was trying to bring to mind earlier with the Bechdel test thing, because there was a meme going around with the still of them screaming at each other, passing the Bechdel test screaming or something like that at the time. It was a good meme.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
But the one thing that I question about the story, because it didn't work for me, is this whole misdirect of the sexual assault of Ash Tyler. Like, to me, that just doesn't work. And even upon rewatch and reflection and whatnot, it just doesn't work. And I don't know why they would do that.
It's interesting because I think, when I was first watching it, I was like, what is going on here? I'm not sure. And then I was like, oh, okay. And I've kind of come to accept it. But then, as I was rewatching it, this time around, I was thinking, what other way could they have gone with that? Actually, I think at the time when I was talking about it, I was a bit disappointed that like if they were going that way, they didn't go the whole way, that it wasn't like there really was serious abuse that needs to be dealt with. And we're going to talk about that on this show. I was kind of a little disappointed that they kind of held back from that somewhat to, in some ways, not talk about it, although he is traumatized still by what happens. But I think you might be right, Brandon. I think that is one of the things maybe they could have handled somewhat differently. Like, how would you have liked them to handle what goes on with Laurel and Voke/Tyler differently? Just that he is an agent and there's nothing of this sexual relationship, or
it could have just been like Arn Darvin, where he's just that, or the flashes of him being changed are just the abuse that he remembers,
just to being like cut apart kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. Because to have this sexual relationship, so he like loved her and whatnot, then to me conflicts with the relationship that he has with Burnham, right? Because you've got that relationship with that character going on, and I mean, while I don't particularly like that relationship either, like, I don't know, I don't need a romantic relationship in every show that I watch either. So,
sure.
I don't know. I just think it would have been better if it had just been flashbacks to the surgery.
Yeah.
And him saying, she tortured me, she cut into me, and then they healed me and cut me again. Like, just something like that, where she was physically abusive to me would have been enough.
I could see that.
Because, I'm so glad we had Heather Barker on when we discussed it on The Edge. Because when I watched that scene, I'm like, doesn't look like he's getting raped to me. That looks like a pretty sensual scene. But I mean, I'm not going to say that in today's social media landscape, right? People are going to be all over me. And I literally thought that in my head. I said, there's no way in hell I'm going to say that online because I'll be attacked. And Heather said it. And I'm like, I am so glad you said that because I absolutely felt that way too. So, and that turned out to be the case. Right? And so, like, all these people are sitting here talking about how bothered they are by this rape scene. And I'm like, I don't know what you watched because I didn't see that. And at the end of it, when they come back to it, they're like, yeah, it wasn't that. I'm like, okay, so now what are you bothered by? Like, what were you bothered by if that's not even what it was? You're just bothered by the fact that they told you it was a rape scene? I don't know. Like, so, I don't know. That's one of the big problems that I had with the first season was that whole sexual assault of Ash Tyler. So
yeah. It was presented as if it was a rape, but I think from the get-go I read that as he, once we knew what was going on, I read that as him remembering perfectly consensual Klingon sex. So from when he was Vogue. But yeah, I mean, if you wanted to get into he's traumatized, let's talk about how, they had to, wasn't there a comic where they talked about doing the Klingon group that did this and with Arn Darvin and how they had to...
Yeah, there was.
I've lost my words tonight. They had to
surgically alter them.
Get rid of the ridges.
Yeah.
Sand down the ridges. Yeah. I mean, how traumatic is that if you want to talk about trauma?
Right. That'd be enough. So, that would be enough.
Yeah.
The honorable mention I have is Amanda.
Oh.
I was very happy to get more of her character. there's so little of her from everything else. It's almost like she's there. You can read her in things that Spock does.
Yeah.
But there's, how much screen time is there with her? It's probably a half an hour all told, and everything.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember. I could be remembering correctly, but as far as before Discovery, Amanda on screen, was it just Journey to Babel? And she was
Star Trek 4.
Star Trek 4.
Season 4
Journey
as well.
to Babel
okay.
and the beginning of the Voyage Home. Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
But just for a little bit, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's why I say, probably it's a half an hour all told.
Yeah, and definitely less than Sarah, who appears other places.
Well, yeah. But and we had gotten her fleshed out in the books in a way that I thought was good.
Yeah.
But we got conflicting stories because, of course, they weren't keeping track in the way that they are now. So.
Yeah, I love that pick. I actually hadn't thought about that, but I really like Amanda in Discovery, and I have to try to separate it out between season 1 and 2 because there's a lot of stuff she's in season 2 for. Yeah. But yeah, I did like that inclusion and seeing more of really who she is as kind of a mother figure to someone who's human but raised on Vulcan, and handling that and helping Burnham along in her journey. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and I did appreciate that we saw how difficult it was for her on Vulcan, even though you would think, looking at it objectively, or however you want to say it, that Vulcans would be perfectly understanding of interplanetary, interspecies relationships and that. Mm-hmm. But how
apparently not
heavy-duty Vulcan racism against her, basically, and that when they are presented in the original series, you don't get that impression at all. And I don't know at what point it was established that Spock was fairly unique in his hybrid nature, but even then, I don't remember getting the feeling that there were Vulcans that were in opposition to that.
I feel like actually the first time, I could be wrong, but I think the first time you see Spock being kind of pointed out for being half Vulcan, half human is in Yesteryear in the animated series, when you go back in time and the kids are really taunting him for it. I think that might be the first time. Yeah, right.
I forgot about that.
But in TOS, you don't necessarily see that other Vulcans judging him for it, but you see it in the animated series. Yeah, I think that's where it started.
Yep.
Yeah, which is interesting. Arthur, it is kind of funny the tone of voice they have, even though it's racist. Anyway.
Well, it is. It's ridiculous, and yet at the same time, that's what children do. And even well-controlled, supposedly emotionless Vulcan children, you can logic racism if you want to.
You can.
You can logic bullying.
But I don't understand how you can make it consistent to say infinite diversity and infinite combinations, but don't mix with other species. Like that, to me, that doesn't make sense. But it is a reality of what we've seen in different iterations of Star Trek, and I think it's interesting that they kind of don't think about that way, right?
It's probably not come. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you would think they would just celebrate that kind of thing, but at the same time, you do know, since the original series, they're very proud of their culture and their history and their philosophy, and maybe at some level, some of them think that would be diluted if, they were off making children with all kinds of other species with different philosophies, right?
Yeah. And it probably has not been, it's probably not something that happened very often. I mean, when you think about, okay, so if we take the novel continuity for Enterprise, Trip and T'Pol, and they have some children, and not even accounting for the one who is unnaturally produced on the show, and that's it. I can't think of any other instances. And considering how the Vulcans seem to feel about humans,
the other thing I think about sometimes, I'm trying to think, maybe it was established in the novel Spock's World, that because you actually go to Vulcan and I think 95% of the people just never leave the planet. they're just there living their Vulcan life and don't actually have too much experience, like going out, which would make sense. If you have a planet of billions of people, you're not going to have everybody just going back and forth all the time. There are people that need to make the planet run, right? So, anyway.
Well, and where's the logic in just traveling?
If you don't have to, I guess.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It works for me that the Vulcans have this racist streak in them, honestly. It works for me.
Yes,
it does work
absolutely.
for me too, but it's definitely not logical.
It's not logical, but racism itself is not logical, right?
It's not.
I think of one of the best examples that I've seen recently is, and I didn't finish watching the show because I just didn't like the science fiction elements mixing with the historical elements, was it Harlan County? Is that what it's called? The HBO show? No, what was the HBO show? Lovecraft. Lovecraft County.
Oh, Lovecraft Country. Oh, so good.
Right. I watched the first episode and, like there's this black football player or whatever he comes back to the South, right, to visit this person that
Baseball.
he knew. Baseball, thank you. Like I said, I watched the first episode.
That's all right.
And they sit down on the patio and they're talking, right? The white guy's talking with the black guy and he's like, oh, yeah, man, you're awesome. I love you. I've been watching your sports. And he's talking all these positive things.
Yeah.
And the way that they're doing the episode is like, they're going to be buddies, and he's going to support him, and he's going to do anything he can help. And then the guy asks him about something, and he's like, well, can I come in the house? And he turns to him, and he's like, nope, we don't allow. And then he uses the bad word in the house, right? Like after this 10-minute scene of them just being like completely friendly and everything like that on the patio. And as a viewer, it's agitating because you're like, what? This doesn't make any sense.
There's just like this weird compartmental.
That's
like
racism,
these different compartments in their mind, like okay to do this, not okay to do this, and we won't think about that those are inconsistent, right?
Yep. So
it is like wow. Yeah. Anyway, I had
You should go back and watch Lovecraft Country.
I would if they didn't have the Lovecraft elements of it. Like I love watching shows that take place in that. But to have this happening, and I'm like, I like watching those era being portrayed on the screen, and then this monster comes and eats them all, and I'm like, what is going on here? Like
that's Lovecraft for you.
I can't put the two together. I just can't do that, and so I gave up after the second episode. I'm like, this is just not for me. I wish it was. If they were separated, if one show was the monsters, I would watch that. If one show was all the portraying the Jim Crow era on TV, I would totally be into that. But the two of them together, I'm just like, this is just not good. This is like bacon and like chocolate. Like you just don't do that. So
Oh, I agree with you there. I don't understand people that do that. I will say, and then I'll stop about Lovecraft Country, but it is one of the better uses of sci-fi to discuss racism that I've seen outside of Star Trek.
Okay.
Because it does, it's reflected in that. So
that's cool.
I got 2 episodes.
Anyway, if we get Lovecraft Country back, I don't know if they're going to do another season, but if we do, that Jay and I are planning to do episodes about that.
There you go.
So,
okay.
2 years from now when that happens.
So I just have a quick other honorable mention. We've kind of discussed it, but I think for me it's Sarek. I love what James Frain does with Sarek, because I feel like what you see in Discovery is this Sarek that at the same time that he's sure of himself and his kind of Vulcan way of doing things, there are circumstances in the season where you see a certain vulnerability and fragility that you don't really see in the 23rd century Sarek. Like you see it more in the 24th century because he's just like dealing with all this stuff, right? Like he's not well. But like in the 23rd century, you're seeing this vulnerability, fragility, and I just kind of like how he plays on that.
Yeah, that Sarek is excellently done.
Didn't we say on one episode, Brandon, that you thought James Frain's Sarek is the best Sarek? Oh no, we're talking about the Kelvin Sarek.
Yeah, Ben Cross
on that one. Ben Cross. So never mind. But I really like what James Frain does. Although I don't know. I still think Mark Leonard's the best Sarek. But
yes, I always Mark Leonard's the best Sarek, but James Frain does an excellent, let's say, interpretation.
Okay.
And the guy that's in the Kelvin movies is good too, but
Ben
I don't
Cross,
think we get enough of him.
We only get a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Well, my only other honorable mention is Ripper.
The Ripper.
And that's half because of what we see in Ephraim and Dodd.
Okay.
Which, I mean, I'll tack that on as part of the first season of Short Treks and all that. But
But that's got to be a different
I
one.
know
That can't be the same one, can it?
I thought that was what they said that it was supposed to be.
Is it?
Yeah.
I think I'm not
Yes.
I'm not sure because we talked about it with Dave Galanter, right?
Right. It's
Is that what you're
established in
Dead
the Dead Endless.
It's not canon though.
Well, fine, whatever. Okay. That tardigrade is Ephraim, and that's the tardigrade that they dealt with
I think
on Discovery. Yeah.
But anyway,
I mean, maybe it's Ephraim Jr. I don't know.
I do like Ripper a lot, and I do think from time to time, what would it have been like if they went through with the original plan, which was to make Ripper a crew member? What, you think that would be a bad idea? I think it would be pretty interesting.
Yes, I do.
Well, it turned out to be too expensive for the CGI, I think, but
yeah,
I love the character, and I wanted to find out more. He like in Dead Endless, he could just like throw out riddles all day long. Anyway,
why is a raven like a writing desk? It ties back in Alice in Wonderland.
Like a raven. Yeah,
that's the Alice in Wonderland riddle.
Yeah, but anyway, I like your choice of Ripper. Yeah,
I want to see a. Never mind.
Star Trek
totally
show where a Star Trek show where the entire main cast is tardigrades.
Yeah, that sounds.
And whatever their version of mycelial network Starfleet is like. Okay, that's too wild.
Oh no, I want to see a Horta in
Horta,
Discovery now.
Horta.
Yeah, I want to see a Starfleet.
I know.
Horta. Just functioning in society.
I would love that. I mean, Diane Duane has a love of Horta in the novels as Starfleet officers. That'd be cool to see.
If they just had a ship full of tardigrades for a show, would it then be called Tart Trek?
No.
Stardigrade?
Stardigrade.
Or Stardigrade.
Star Trek grade. No.
Star Trek grade. That sounds like a kid show.
Yeah. I don't know what they would call it. Okay. But
on
that's
note.
Cool. I love all the choices. That's a big diversity of characters.
Yeah, we had a nice range here.
What?
Tukuma.
Oh. All right. Any more honorable mentions? Anything else we want to say about season 1 of Discovery characters?
I'm good.
All right. So, Justin, where can people find you when they would like to talk to you on the interwebs?
When they want to pitch me their idea of an all-tardigrade Star Trek show, you can find me. I don't have no influence to make these things happen, but please, if you have one, just write it up and send it to me. I'll probably like it. You can find me on Twitter. I'm at TrekFan4747, where I tweet about nothing but Star Trek. And you can find me in our Facebook group, the Federation Council Chambers. Hope you'll join us there.
All right. And Brandon, where can people find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on Twitter at Brandon Matella. You can find me here on the network with a show called Franchise Fatigue, which is all about movies, remakes, and sequels. And you can find me over in the Fandom Podcast Network with a show called Good Evening, an Alfred Hitchcock podcast, where my friends Chris and Tom and I cover Hitch's films in chronological order.
All right, and for me, of course, here on Infinite Diversity, but you can also find me on History with the Szilagys, which is the new twice-weekly history podcast here on the UFP network. And
Chrissie and Jason's History podcast.
Yes, and I do that with my husband, Jason, who's also an historian. And also, I'm happy to chat about our shows in the Federation Council Chambers, of course. And I'm on Twitter at the Goddess Livia, that's TheGoddessLivia, where I tweet about Star Trek history and leftist politics. Brandon, tell our listeners what wonderful other shows there are on the network.
Oh, we have almost every day of the week we got shows now. Monday we have...
The network has to rest on Sunday.
We have to rest on Sunday, yes. On Mondays we have Always Hold On to Arrow, which is all about the Arrowverse. On Tuesdays we have Infinite Diversity and History with the Szilagys. Wednesdays we have... Franchise Fatigue and Mickey's Marvels. Mickey's Marvels covers everything in the Disney umbrella. And Thursdays we have All Good Things, which is all Star Trek all the time. And we also have more History with the Szilagys. And Fridays we've got Galaxy Class, which is all Star Trek The Next Generation. And now on Saturdays we also have Sasquatch, which is a Bigfoot multimedia podcast where they discover references to Bigfoot in movies, TVs, books, comics, things like that. So all over the place.
All right. And if all of that just sounds wonderful to you and you enjoy listening to all of it, you can help us keep it going. You can support the network on Patreon for as little as $3 a month. And we would like to thank our current patrons, of course, and just say that if you've ever considered supporting us before now is a good time, because we're expanding our reach, we're expanding our podcasts, and we're going to have to go up a podcast hosting tier in Spreaker, and that can be expensive.
Do it now, because now will never come again.
There you go, yes. True of Patreon and other things in life. All right, so just go to patreon.com/UFPearth to give your support. Thank you so much for tuning into Infinite Diversity. Thank you to our executive producers, Ken Tripp, Tony Robinson, and Zach Moore. Thank you to Zach Tripp for the wonderful theme music and Tony Robinson for the awesome show art. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, and please subscribe on your favorite podcast player. If you'd like to reach out, you can find the network on Twitter at UFPearth, or our show particularly at IDIC Podcast. You can also talk about any and all of the UFP podcasts in our Facebook group called the Federation Council Chambers. You can email us at infinitediversity@ufp.earth as well. On the next episode, we will be talking to Dr. Una McCormick about her most recent discovery novel, Wonderland.
Yes, I'm so excited about that. Sorry.
Me too. Until then, peace and long life.
This has been a production of MTMR Media Works.
All right. Well, let's see. Last week, I believe we started with Brandon, so let's start with Justin this week.
Well, should we explicitly say we're talking about Discovery
Season 1? Oh my God,
1?
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
There's the end of there's the tag at the end. Okay.